Welcome to the beautiful beast. Made a terrible schoolboy error here in Safi. Unfortunately, as I'm walking around this souk, which was really amazing, it had a bit of space. A lot of the stuff was different, but unfortunately, as we're walking around, I thought I was recording, I was actually switching it off. So I hardly ended up with any media, which was a real shame. Afternoon van lifers. So last night we stayed in right in the middle of a bush, right in the middle of a kind of a wooded area. So we drove off the road and tucked away out the way, and it was absolutely blissfully quiet, and I slept really well. I think I slept 10 hours last night. Needed it as well, because I needed to catch up a bit from dog barking deprived sleep that we seem to be getting a lot of lately. Bless them, do love them. And oh look, there's a tractor coming. There's Mrs. Hale up there, up in the Queen's quarters. And then we drove here today, which was alright. Let's wave to the boys in the tractor, see if they wave. Everyone waves here, it's fucking lovely. Oh, so friendly. So then we've driven here, which is very nice. Probably some good surfing here actually. Not bad at all. But we can't stay, unfortunately, because the signal is bloody crap. And I've got to upload a film. This week's YouTube. So I'm afraid we can't stay. What a bloody nightmare that is. It's quite nice, and it's nice and peaceful, just the sea. Oh, it drives you mad. Oh, what a shame. Yeah, no, I'd have quite happily stayed there. I could imagine myself with a fishing rod off that point there. I'm sure there's a few fish about, that's for sure. Anyway, enough dreaming. Go make a cup of tea, I suppose. No drama. Well, it is Saturday. No drama. Afternoon, van lifers. Tuesday afternoon. There's Mrs. Hale, hard at it as always.
Rest.
Lady of leisure. So today is a special day. Today is our wedding anniversary. 29 years. Yes, I know. No one's more surprised than I am. Especially my wife. Look at her.
I don't know how I managed.
Happy wife, happy life. That's what they say. They don't have the same saying for husbands. Happy husband, we'll see about that. Only if you're lucky. So we've been sat here for 3 days. My wife has a chest infection of some description. Just feeling a bit weak and a bit poorly. And she got bitten by a bee this morning. Poor old thing. It was in quite a bit of pain, weren't you?
It was. I've never ever been bitten by a bee, but it is painful.
That's because bee stings are painful.
I realised.
Anyway, she was hopping around, and obviously lots of sympathy for me, because that's what husbands
None
do.
whatsoever.
So we will probably move on tomorrow, where we have to really, because we've got no food left. We'll have to go shopping. But it's been very nice here, right near the sea.
Around, all waving and smiling and friendly. Right behind the sea.
I'll tell you what I like most. I mean, I know we have one tractor that goes by, which is just the same tractor.
A couple of motorbikes.
With a couple of lads, a couple of motorbikes. Yesterday evening, and for 2 nights in a row, I've seen a woman, very dainty little woman, go past on a donkey.
Oh, okay.
She's quite interested to see. We have 2 flocks of sheep that go past. A boy has got one boy shepherd has got 1 flock of sheep, and he desperately would like to speak to us, maybe for sweets or money or both. And then there's an old woman who takes her sheep past in the morning.
And we see the boys on the big swimming.
Oh yeah, yesterday, because being Sunday, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
So what day is it today?
Monday. Monday, definitely.
Was it Monday?
Yesterday, yeah.
Yes, so it is Monday today. The problem with a van life is you just don't know what day it is sometimes.
Anyway, you were talking about the boys.
Anyway, talking about the boys, and I saw one, and I think Mrs. L on a separate occasion saw another couple of lads.
Done it yesterday out there.
And they basically what they've got is inflatable inner tubes. They're like truck inner tubes, which they've inflated up. Then they tie like quite a robust bit of plastic on the bottom of them. So if they slide up on rocks or sea urchins or whatever. Anyway, they put some flip-flops on, and they got wetsuits, so they're pretty kitted up. And then they go out to sea, and they're basically diving about. I'm assuming they're looking for.
Yesterday they done it on the waves.
Yeah, they're out there on the reef.
Great fun.
And they're out there on the reef. There's a reef out there. You can't really see today, but they were out there yesterday, and they were either having fun on the waves or just diving down. I'm assuming they're looking for squids,
They just hit.
calamari, and crabs, and anything else that they can get their hands on. But it looks like a lot of fun, and that is very popular. We saw quite a few people doing that yesterday. So there's been plenty to watch. And then the other thing is there's cable and traps going past, but these aren't for fun. These are people actually using to carry hay. We had one large trap go past with big wide sides, but that was absolutely full of hay, wasn't it? And the horse was loving it, just trotted past. She looked very happy, and that was quite exciting. And then one other guy who keeps going up and down with large potatoes, which we assume is sacks of potatoes. He must have a fair spread down there, because he came back with quite a few sacks yesterday. So even though we've just been sitting here doing very little, we have watched the world go by, and it's been lovely. Yeah, it really has been nice.
Peaceful.
And that's what I think that partly that's what van life is about, is just slowing down enough to actually watch the world go by, to watch the life just generally happening. Because when you just when you're on the wheel of life, it always reminds me of gerbils and cages. You get on that wheel and you just never stop. You know, we did it for too many years. I keep going on about this, but it's a true fact.
Turn your camera.
But we are, so we've come off the wheel of life, and which allows us just to sit here for 2.5 days doing very little, just watching the world go by, and it's been very nice. If you haven't tried it, start thinking about doing it. It took a lot of planning, didn't it? We spent years really. It started with an initial. So this is, there is a story to this. In fact, I'll tell it now. It's a bit of a long story though. If you want to press pause and go and have a cup of tea and come back. I know, I'm only joking. So basically what happened is about 5 years ago we went to Lanzarote, me, the wife and Luke. I think Anna was either travelling the world or at uni or something, but it was just the three of us. And we flew down to Lanzarote. I think the flight down there was all right, no real hassles. But on the way back, the pilot said, "Oh, we might hit a bit of turbulence on the way back." My wife had issues with flying prior to that, but then got herself in her right tiswas, anxiety and just general not feeling very happy about the situation. And it was silly. It was unfortunate really, because as it actually turned out, there was very little, if any, turbulence on the way home. There was just one little brief period for about 30 seconds. That was it. So did the pilot need to say anything? Well, no, he didn't. I think he was just being friendly and just trying to pre-warn. I don't know. But it put the fear of God in my wife. And we came back at that, and I made a conscious decision not to ever fly again, really, if we could help it. We can fly to Germany. We've done it a few times since. But literally, because we were only up in the air for about an hour and a half, it's really not too traumatic, and she seems to get through that quite well. I think the fact that she's going to see her family also helps, but because it's short duration, she's all right with it. But long haul was just out the window. There was no way we were going to fly anywhere more than 2 hours. So our world suddenly got very smaller, and I didn't. Anyway. Obviously, over the years, I've been watching YouTube, as many people have, switched off from TV. I mean, I don't hardly ever watch any TV, but started watching a lot of YouTube and watched a lot of people travelling around in converted vans or in proper expensive four-wheel drive trucks. And I thought, well, I fancy that. That looks fun. I had a little chat with my wife, Gizzy, and said, "Here's a couple of videos, see what you think, and come back to me when you watched them." Anyway, she watched the videos. She said, "Oh, wow, I quite like the idea of that. That looks like fun." I said, "Well, in the grand scheme of things, you know, we could drive anywhere we want to drive. You know, we could have a fun existence doing that, and we don't have to fly anymore." And to be honest, I hate flying. It's not the flying. I'm not scared about that. I don't have anxiety about that. But I hate the way that airports treat people. I mean, we are like cattle. You rock up, you have to go through security, it gets dragged on, you get pushed, poked, and generally it's just, I hate that. Once you actually sit in the plane and put your seatbelt on, I'm fine. You know, I could sit there for 10 or 12 hours, or for however long it takes to get to where you need to go. But the actual drama, it's one of our wavy bike men. Anyway, so that was the end of that. So off the back of that, we decided that we'd go start looking for a truck. And obviously my initial idea was to drive to India. But anyway, we'll come back to that. But so I've scoured eBay, and in the end I found this truck on a website like a European car finding website, and I contacted Luca, who owned this vehicle, the beautiful beast, and we communicated by email and Google Translate, although I was then to find that his English was actually very, very good, and his wife's English was even better. But so lovely people. We kind of agreed on a figure, but the one thing he said to me is, you know, I'm not going to just sell you this truck. I really would like you to come down and have a look at it. So when I actually found out the flight was it 90 quid return? It wasn't a lot of money anyway. Less than 100 quid to fly down there and have a look. Well, you were mad not to. So I left really early on Thursday morning, I think it was. Drove up to Bristol Airport, jumped on a plane. Bit of a drama getting there because I had to go to Mallorca first of all places, and then from Mallorca flew to Milan. Stayed in a hotel the night, and then in the morning Luca picked me up. We drove down 4 hours down south, went and looked at the truck, spent a day with Luca and his lovely family in a beautiful part of Italy. I mean, unbelievably stunning, just so beautiful. And the truck was very good looking as well. We fell in love, so that was quite nice. I took lots and lots of photos, came home to my Mrs. Hale, gave her all the details, and she made an informed decision to go ahead and buy it. Thank God for that, eh? It was a good investment. It was good for Luca. Well, it wasn't that good for Luca because, anyway, that's neither here or there. But it was good for us. We paid him in full. We flew over a month later and collected it in June, and then we had 4 days driving back from Italy on using
Lucas sorted out the insurance.
Yeah, so Lucas sorted out the insurance and a temporary export license, which basically gave us 4 days to drive to the UK. So, which didn't leave a lot of room to manoeuvre, but we obviously, that was our first real live experience of travelling in the truck, and we went up through, left Milan, drove, what were those lakes called we went to briefly? Lake something or other. We'll come back to it when she remembers. We spent kind of a night near there. Lake Como. Yeah, stunningly beautiful. And then the following day we drove up through Switzerland to the Sand.
We've driven over San Bernardino.
That's it, San Bernardino.
Down to Lucerne.
Down to Lucerne, and then on to Austria. We stopped in Austria, had a little dip and an ice cream, and then we drove to where Gizzy lives in Schlüsselfeld, which is near Bamberg in Germany. So, and then we spent a night with Gizzy's sister. Went and saw the older brother and saw the family and had a quick catch up. And then we followed the following day. We drove to where's my brain? Netherlands, Holland, and we stopped on the way and had a nice little swim in a pool in Germany, which was very nice. And then we had our first experience of Overlander. It was our first real experience, and it's a free app, and if you want to do any of this overlanding, it's definitely the app to have, although there's a few out there. But it said nice little parking space, free to park, and it's next to a landing area where there's a car transporter that goes across a small river. We got there a bit late, but it was all right, and it was stunningly beautiful. We had a lovely quiet night's sleep. There was no traffic. The only thing you could hear was a bell in the village that was close by. It was just bloody lovely. And it cooled down a bit because our first night in Italy, it was boiling. We nearly died from heat. We weren't used to that, I can tell you. But anyway, spent the night in Holland, and then the following day we drove to Calais, and then we came over the border to back on the ferry, and then to Blighty, and then we drove home. And I think we got home about 5 o'clock, didn't we? So that was about a 12-hour drive. So, but yeah, did we get the taste of that? Oh, that was lovely. And that was June. And then we planned a holiday towards the end of October, because that was when my wife's B&B was quiet. I could get a bit of time off work because it was kind of out of season. There was nothing really going on. So we had 3 weeks off, travelled down to the south of France. I think we did about 2,800 kilometres, about 2,000 miles, something like that. And had 3 weeks away and loved it. That was our first adventure. I think it did help that the south of France was absolutely stunningly beautiful. I mean, it was just, we managed to park right next to a beach, and we could go for a swim in the morning, and it was just stunning, absolutely stunning. It was a bit out of season as well, so it wasn't so quiet. It was nice and quiet, it was lovely. And then we went down to Spain, spent a bit of time in Spain, which was all right, and then made our way back up to where was the beaches we went to in France? Hossegor and that, and then the kind of surf areas. And then I went and saw Jez, who I had worked with at Hinkley, and just had a nice 3 weeks away. And the main thing that stuck in my memory of that 3 weeks away is just as we were coming in towards Caen to get on the ferry, Gizzy said that I've thoroughly enjoyed my holiday. In fact, I don't even want to go home. But unfortunately, I had a job, so I had to go home, which was a bit unfortunate. But there you go. And then we drove home, and then we really start thinking, right, what do we want to do with this? Where are we going to go with this? And the gist of it was we realised that we needed to save a bit of money. We already had bookings for the following year in the B&B. So we couldn't just run away. We had to basically do a season, and that's what we did. We did a season with the B&B. My wife finished that season in like late September, and then had 3 months off doing very little. And then I carried on working at Christmas, but that was fine. Not that I'm resentful about that or anything. Maybe a little bit. No, I wasn't. It allowed us to save a lot of money and prep the house, and we basically rented the house out. And that was 4 months ago. We've basically not done any work for 4 months.
That's the cook for you.
She cooks 10 minutes a day, and spends 5 minutes washing up, and that's my wife's input to the whole journey. And apart from that, giving lots of free advice about how to drive. That's the other thing she does a lot of. Not always welcome. I know I've gone on a bit, but it just is where we are at the moment. So yeah, where are we now? Morocco, on the coast, about an hour north of Agadir. We got another, probably a month, I think. We've kind of allowed ourselves.
Maximum, and then we go over up to Spain, Barcelona, and over to Italy.
Yeah. So our next part of the journey is go back into Spain. Maybe a week or two driving up to Barcelona. Don't think it's that far.
It is quite a...
Yeah, it's a bit of a drive, but
yeah.
we'll see. And then jump on a ferry from Barcelona across to Rome, and then we'll spend a month, maybe more, no real rush, in Italy. Looking forward to that. Obviously we've had our first taste, or we've had our first taste of Italy, and that was, my wife's been there before, but that was in previous times, before Ali times that was. And then after that, at the moment we're going to drive to Bari and then go across on another ferry to Albania, because it's not in the EU, and I might need, well, I don't know, we'll just have to see. So that's where we're planned. We can't plan too far in advance because we don't know how the land lies. In theory we're driving to India, but it's very much to do with whether Azerbaijan opens its border, but we'll have to see. So still early days. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed that. It has gone on a bit, but you know. At least you know where we are. No drama. Have a good one. Morning van lifers. So one of the things you do need living in a van is water, and luckily in Morocco we've been quite lucky up to now, haven't we? And beside the road you find these little natural water, well they're not natural, I don't know what they are, they're basically spring water, and we've just filled up now, and we must have put 80 litres in, so it's free as well, just help yourself. It's a necessity though, you can't live without it. We need it for washing up,
cooking,
shower, cleaning,
washing.
And washing, so you do go through the water. But luckily one of the bonuses of being here is it's available. No drama.
I think I never filmed.
Being in North Devon Bay, obviously I got quite a few farmer mates back home, and so I think it's only fair that I'll provide you with a bit of John Deere porn. There you go. Look at that beauty. It's a 1202. Oh, it's not a John Deere, it's a Dutzfar. It's German. It's German. There's my little man, he just gave me some fuel. And we're gonna go and have a coffee. Because that's the way we roll. My foot hurts. Anyway, let's have some coffee.
Where you wanna stay tonight?
Where do you want to stay? There where you want to go. Qualitita. Good afternoon, van lifers. So we're in Qualitita. That's probably wrong. But where we are, we're in a very nice place. Look at this, fucking gorgeous. There's no one here. Well, apart from the little family that's over there, chilling out. But there's very few people here. And it's very, 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 very nice. So, we're going to stay here a couple of days. Which can't be bad, can it? There she is. She's all happy. Mrs. Ale's happy. Kind of happy. As happy as Mrs. Ale can be. Smells of fish around here. We've gone off variety. I haven't locked the truck. I've not locked the truck. I've not locked the truck. She wants to go and dip her toes in the water. So. I don't know what that is, and I don't want to know what it is. You're locked?
So, let me just check it.
Let's go and have a look. Let's go and have a little tickle. Let's go and have a look. I think them shorts have seen better days. Stay on. Let's go. Sounds nice. Sounds very nice. Take flip-flops off. Right, that'll do for a sec. Very nice.
What I read.
Flamingos in
Because
Morocco.
there's like a little island.
A little island there. I bet there's some good fish in there. Just in the middle there.
But there was earlier on, there was two guys leaving.
There's even a little hole over there. You can sit in there, out the sun. I reckon that'd be quite nice. We've had a bit of a wildlife week. We parked in the bush. I mean, Brighton is kind of a forest really, by Moroccan standards, but it's not that. The trees aren't that high. But high enough to hide the van. We were tucked away. It was really quite nice. And it was a lovely quiet night. Anyway, when we were driving out of said place, going down like a track road, and must have been metre 200 snake was in the road. Anyway, as soon as it saw us, it accelerated and disappeared into the bush. But so
It was a viper.
but it was a viper. Mrs. Hale has been on Google and has confirmed that it is a viper. And I think if you went and poked it with a stick, there's a good chance it would probably bite you. So that was the first thing we saw. Then we saw a little like squirrel, but I don't think it was a squirrel.
Oh, it was weird.
Quite small, smaller than your grey squirrel. I have to go back on Google to find out what that is. And then we saw a tortoise in the middle of the road. Poor little chap. Quite a reasonable size. I would say he was a young adult. So anyway, so just stopped the truck, went out, picked him up, and put him to the closest bush, which is obviously what he was looking for, because where he'd come from there was no greenery at all. So we took him to the promised land, and it wasn't the busiest road in the world, but there was a reason. There's always a chance they can get squashed, and that would be terrible.
Especially with the lorries.
Yeah, there's a lot of lorries going down there. Anyway, so he was put to safety. What else did we see?
Baby tortoise.
Oh, and a baby tortoise, which was probably no bigger than 3 inches. And he was doing the same. He was crawling across the road. But we missed him. But we were going too fast really to stop and see to him. But I mean, apart from in Africa, you know, that when we were in South Africa years ago, when we saw lots of tortoises, it's the first time I've ever seen any in Morocco, so it's good to see little chaps running around. So that's yeah, that's the David Attenborough's enough of my bullshit. No drama. So that's it from this week's episode of The Beautiful Beast. It's been a bit beachy, a bit waffly, and a bit laid back. But we're now coast dwellers. So, see that little stone? We are very close to 200 subscriber, and the 200th subscriber will receive that stone in the post. Can't say fairer than that. Little bonuses from watching the channel. Anyway, have a good week, and we'll see you all next week. Many thanks.